I gave my son a vintage pocket watch for his 40th birthday, and he laughed in my face and called it worthless junk. 3 weeks later, I sold it at auction for $87,000. When he found out, he tried to have me declared mentally incompetent. But that was only the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The wrapping paper was navy blue, classic. I'd chosen it because my son used to love that color as a boy. Used to. Past tense covers a lot of ground when you're talking about the people your children become. My son held the velvet box, turned it over twice. His wife Meredith leaned in, eyes bright, expecting something. A check, probably. They always expected checks now. "Dad, what is this?" His voice carried that tone, the one that said he was already disappointed before opening it. "It's your grandfather's pocket watch." I kept my hands steady. 1,892 Patek Philippe. Been in our family 4 generations. He opened the box. The watch gleamed under the kitchen lights of my Portland home. Gold case, porcelain dial, hand-engraved hunting scene on the back. My father wore it every Sunday. His father before him. My son stared at it like I'd handed him a dead fish. A pocket watch. Yes, Dad, nobody carries pocket watches anymore. He actually laughed. This isn't 1,920. Meredith's smile had frozen. Her eyes did quick math. Pocket watch. Old. Not a check. Not jewelry she could wear. Worthless. "It's an antique," I said carefully. "Significant value, both monetary and sentimental." Sentimental. My son set the box on the kitchen counter, next to the coffee maker, like it was junk mail. "Dad, we talked about this. We need practical help right now, not old stuff from your collection." "Practical help. The mortgage is killing us." Meredith's voice pitched high. "You know we're struggling. I know you bought a boat last summer. That was different." "Different how?" My son stepped closer. His cologne was expensive. I noticed these things. 40 years of evaluating fine things. Watches, jewelry, estate pieces. I knew what money smelled like. He was wearing more than he could afford. "Look, Dad, I appreciate the gesture, really. But this just isn't useful to us right now. Maybe you could return it to wherever you got it? Get something more practical? Return it. Or donate it. Tax write-off for you, right?" Meredith nodded eagerly. "There's that charity shop on Hawthorne. They take antiques." I stood very still. 40 years of customer service taught me that skill. The art of not reacting when someone insults you to your face. "That watch," I said quietly, "belonged to your great-great-grandfather. He carried it through Ellis Island." "That's nice, Dad." My son checked his phone. "But we can't pay our mortgage with family history." The birthday cake sat on the table. German chocolate, his favorite since age 6. I'd made it from scratch. Started at 5 a.m. He hadn't touched it. I picked up the velvet box, closed it carefully. "You're right. I'll find it a better home." "Great. Thanks for understanding." I left before they served the cake. Drove home in the rain. Portland in October. Gray and wet. Appropriate. My workshop waited. Back of the house, converted garage. 40 years of tools, equipment, reference books. I'd retired from Harrison & Sons' fine timepieces 2 years ago. Sold the business for enough to never worry again. The watch sat on my workbench. I opened the case, examined the movement under magnification. Same as always. Perfect. Swiss precision from an era when craftsmanship meant something. My phone showed 3 texts from my son Gene. "Thanks again for coming by. Sorry if that was awkward. Let me know about that tax write-off thing." I didn't respond. Instead, I scrolled through contacts. Stopped at one name. Rebecca Chen, Sotheby's Portland office. We'd authenticated pieces together for 15 years. My thumb hovered. 2 seconds. 3. I tapped. "Rebecca, it's Walter Ashford. I have something for your November auction. Something special." The watch sat in my passenger seat. Buckled in. More care than my son had shown it. November 3rd. Sotheby's regional office downtown. Glass and steel building. I knew which elevator, which floor. Coming home felt exactly like this. Rebecca met me in the examination room. Same sharp blazer, same pearl earrings. 20 years, and she still looked like she could authenticate a brigade in her sleep. Walter Ashford, she smiled. Is that what I think it is? Depends on what you're thinking. She unwrapped it on the examination table. Her hands stopped. I'm thinking Patek Philippe, 1892. Hunting case, museum quality. I'm thinking you've been hiding this from me for years. It was a family piece. The recipient didn't appreciate it. Then the recipient is a fool. The examination took 45 minutes. Magnification, UV light, movement inspection, case marks, everything my son hadn't bothered to ask about. Provenance? Direct family line since 1892. Original purchase receipt from Geneva. Immigration documents showing it entered the U.S. in 1903. I have everything. She made notes, consulted her tablet. Current market for pieces like this is exceptional. Collectors are hungry for documented family provenance. I'm thinking 6 figures. 6 figures? My son's worthless junk was worth 6 figures. How soon can you auction it? November 15th. Our fall collection. This will be a highlight. Conservative estimate? She looked up. $75,000 to $95,000. Possibly more if the right collectors attend. I remembered my father's funeral, 1998. The watch in my pocket, heavy with responsibility. Take care of this, Walter, he'd said in the hospital. Pass it to someone who understands. I'd tried. I'd failed. The consignment papers took 10 minutes. Standard contract. My pen moved to sign. Stopped. Should I tell my son first? The thought lasted half a second. My pen moved. Second thoughts? Rebecca watched me. None. Too quick. Too firm. Do you want the sale confidential? We can keep it out of the public catalog. No need. Wrong answer. I should have said yes. But I assumed my son would never see an auction catalog. He didn't read them. Didn't care about them. Assumptions make interesting mistakes. November 15th arrived. Clear sky. Cold. Portland sparkled after the rain. I wore my charcoal suit, burgundy tie. Sotheby's auction room filled with collectors. The smell of money and anticipation mixed into something familiar. I sat in the back row. Lot 23 came up. The auctioneer's voice carried, professional, practiced. Patek Philippe pocket watch, circa 1892. Hunting case, 18-karat gold, documented provenance from 1892 to present. Opening bid $50,000. Paddles rose. Phone lines lit up. $55,000. $60,000. We have $65,000. The bidding war lasted 2 minutes. 2 minutes to undo 4 generations of careful stewardship. $80,000. $85,000. The room held its breath. Fair warning. The hammer fell. Sharp crack. Final. Sold. $87,000. Applause rippled. Rebecca caught my eye from across the room. Smiled. My passenger seat stayed empty on the drive home. The phone rang that evening. My son. I let it go to voicemail. Rang again. Meredith. Voicemail. Third call. Unknown number. I picked up. Dad? My son's voice. Strained. I've been trying to reach you. I noticed. Did you sell Grandpa's watch? Silence. Heavy. How did you know? Meredith's cousin works in antiques. Saw the Sotheby's results online. There was a photo. That was our watch. Your watch. Interesting. Dad, you got $87,000 for it. I got $87,000 for my watch. Yes. That was supposed to be mine. You called it worthless junk. Suggested I donate it to the charity shop on Hawthorne. I didn't mean... What did you mean, exactly? His breathing changed. Calculating. We should talk about this. In person. Tomorrow. I'll think about it. I hung up. Turned off my phone. The war had begun. My workshop. Early morning. November light through the windows. I was cataloging inventory when I heard the front door open. They had a key. Emergency purposes. I'd forgotten to ask for it back. Dad? My son's voice echoed through the house. Footsteps. 2 sets. We let ourselves in. Meredith's voice. Cheerful. False. We brought breakfast. I emerged from the workshop. They stood in my kitchen, holding bags from that expensive brunch place downtown. Croissants, fresh fruit, coffee from beans that cost more per pound than my son's sense of decency. This is unexpected. We wanted to clear the air. My son smiled. That smile that doesn't reach anywhere useful. About the watch situation. Look, Dad. Meredith set out plates. We may have overreacted at the birthday party. That watch obviously meant something to you. It meant something to our family. Right. And we respect that. My son poured coffee, but selling it without telling us. I told you I'd find it a better home. You agreed. I didn't think you meant auction. What did you think I meant? He glanced at Meredith. Signal passed between them. Dad, we're a little concerned. She arranged croissants with surgical precision. Making major financial decisions alone. At your age, my age, you're 68. Living alone, managing significant assets. I've been managing significant assets since before you were born. That's kind of the point. My son leaned forward. Things change as we get older. Judgment can be affected. The coffee sat untouched. I'd made my own earlier. French press. Superior. Are you suggesting I'm not competent to manage my own affairs? We're suggesting we should be more involved. For your protection. I see. It's not personal, Dad. Meredith's voice dripped synthetic concern. We love you. We just want to make sure you're okay. I'm perfectly okay. Then why sell a family heirloom for cash? That's not like you. How would you know what's like me? Silence. Uncomfortable. Good. I think you should leave now. Dad. The croissants look delicious. Take them with you. They left. Finally, my son threw one last look around the living room, cataloging, calculating. His eyes stopped on the display case in the corner. The display case I'd never shown him properly. 12 watches. Carefully arranged. The collection of a lifetime. Nice display, Dad. Never noticed it before. You never asked. After they left, I stood at the window, watched their car sit in the driveway for 5 minutes before pulling away. Then I called my attorney. Sandra Okonkwo had been my lawyer for 20 years. Trusts, estates, business matters. She answered on the second ring. Walter. Been a while. Everything okay? I need to update my will, and I need to discuss my options regarding house guests who've overstayed their welcome. House guests? My son and daughter-in-law have developed an unhealthy interest in my assets. I want to understand my legal position. Silence. Then, when can you come in? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Bring documentation, financial records, any communications that concern you. Everything. I ended the call. Walked to my display case. 12 watches. Total value. Approximately $340,000 at current market. My son had walked past this case 100 times. Never once asked about it. Now he'd noticed. I moved to my workshop. Retrieved the small security camera I'd bought last year. Home security, the package said. Peace of mind. I installed it in the living room that afternoon, hidden behind a picture frame, facing the display case. Some peace of mind requires preparation. Sandra's office smelled like old books and fresh coffee. Diplomas on the wall, family photos on the desk, competence and warmth in equal measure. You've been documenting everything. She looked up from my files. Professional habit. 40 years of provenance verification. This is thorough, Walter. Very thorough. I keep records. She ran her finger down a spreadsheet. Since retirement, you've given your son approximately $45,000 in direct financial support. Cash gifts, loan payments, that boat down payment. I thought I was helping. You were. The question is whether that generosity created expectations. It created entitlement. She nodded slowly. The watch sale clearly triggered something. They're circling now. They mention my age, my judgment, being more involved. Classic opening moves. She made notes. If they escalate, they'll likely pursue guardianship or conservatorship. Claim you're not competent to manage your affairs. Based on what? Based on anything they can construct. erratic behavior, impulsive decisions. The watch sale is their current evidence. Selling my own property at fair market value is erratic? To a judge who doesn't know you? Possibly. They'll frame it as emotional, impulsive, financially irresponsible. I sat with that, felt the anger build, controlled it. What do? Sandra pulled out a legal pad. First, we update your will. Make your intentions crystal clear. Second, we document your competency now, while no one's challenged it. Psychological evaluation, cognitive testing. Create a baseline. Third, she looked up. If you want them out of your life, we establish boundaries legally. Change locks. Revoke access. Put everything in writing. And if they sue, then we fight. And we win. Because you're not incompetent, Walter. You're just done being used. Done being used. Accurate. There's one more thing. I pulled out another folder. My daughter, Lydia. She lives in Boston. We're not close, but we're civil. And I want to transfer some assets to her. Not everything, but enough to reduce what my son might eventually contest. Are you trying to disinherit him? I'm trying to protect what I've built from people who see it as their birthright rather than my legacy. Sandra smiled. Slightly. First genuine smile of the meeting. I can work with that. November 23rd. Security footage from Tuesday showed my son entering my house alone, using his key, 2 p.m. I was at the senior center, teaching a watchmaking basics class. He went straight to my workshop. Systematic. Opening drawers, checking files, looking for something. He found the insurance folder, documentation of my collection, 12 watches, appraised values, photos, provenance records. His hands shook as he photographed each page. Then he moved to the display case. Stood there for 10 minutes. I could almost hear him calculating, counting, salivating. He left without touching anything, smart enough to know I'd notice. That night, his call. Dad, I've been thinking about the watch situation, about everything. Have you? We got off on the wrong foot. Meredith and I, we want to make things right. Make things right how? Let us take you to dinner. Nice place. Talk things through. Father and son. When? Saturday? That new steakhouse on the river? Fine. His voice brightened, eager. Great, Dad. Really great. This will be good. You'll see. I saw already. The footage told me everything I needed to know. Dinner was expensive. Prime rib, good wine, attentive service. My son paid. First time in years. Meredith wore her best dress, smiled constantly, performed concern. Dad, tell us about your collection. My son cut his steak. We never really talked about it. How did you get started? 40 years in the business, you accumulate pieces. The display case in your living room. He chewed thoughtfully. How many watches is that? 12. All valuable? Some more than others. Meredith leaned in. They must be worth a lot. As a collection, they're worth what collectors will pay. Like the pocket watch. She sipped wine. That went for $87,000. Pretty good for one piece. That was an exceptional piece. Are any others exceptional? I set down my fork, looked at both of them. Really looked. What are you actually asking? My son shifted. We're just interested, Dad. In your life, your passions. You've never been interested before. That's not true. It's completely true. 40 years in business, you never once visited my shop. Never asked about a single piece I worked on. Now suddenly you're curious about values? Dad, the pocket watch opened your eyes, didn't it? Now you're wondering what else I have that might be worth something. Meredith's performance cracked, just slightly. We're family, Walter. Is it wrong to know what assets exist? Assets. For planning purposes. Estate planning. Whose estate? I'm not dead yet. My son's face flushed. Nobody said you were. You're planning for it, though. Calculating. Making lists. That's not... I saw the security footage. Silence. Total. The restaurant noise seemed to disappear. What footage? You in my workshop, Tuesday, going through my files, photographing my insurance documents. My son's face went through stages. Pale. Red. Pale again. I can explain. Please don't. I was worried about you, making sure things were organized. You were counting inventory. Don't insult my intelligence. Meredith stood. This dinner was a mistake. Sit down. She sat. Here's what's going to happen. I kept my voice level. 40 years of difficult clients. I'm changing my locks tomorrow. Your key access is revoked. Any future visits will be scheduled in advance and supervised. Supervised. I'm your son. You're also the person who called my grandfather's watch worthless junk and then ransacked my files looking for more valuable junk. We weren't ransacking. I have video. Would you like to see it? No response. I'm also updating my will. You should know that your inheritance situation is being restructured. Restructured how? That's between me and my attorney. Dad, this is crazy. Meredith's voice rose. You can't just... I can do whatever I want with my property. That's literally what ownership means. We'll contest it. My son's jaw tightened. If you're making decisions based on paranoia... Paranoia? I laughed. You broke into my house, photographed my financial documents, and you're calling me paranoid? You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. Maybe a doctor should determine that. And there it was. The threat, finally explicit. I stood, dropped cash on the table. Pursue that. See how it goes for you. I walked out. Didn't look back. December 5th. The process server arrived at 9 a.m. Young woman. Professional demeanor. Walter Ashford? Yes. You've been served. The papers were thick. Petition for guardianship and conservatorship, filed by my son and daughter-in-law. Grounds. Advanced age affecting judgment. Erratic financial decisions. Vulnerability to exploitation. I called Sandra. She was already on her way. They actually did it. She spread the papers across my kitchen table. I underestimated their greed. Or they overestimated their case. She flipped pages. You need to undergo a competency evaluation. Should be simple. You're sharp. When's the hearing? December 20th. 2 weeks to prove I'm not senile. 2 weeks to prove your son is lying. The evaluation took 3 hours. Dr. Marcus Webb, geriatric psychiatrist. Soft voice, sharp eyes. Tell me about the watch sale, Mr. Ashford. I sold a family heirloom at fair market value after the intended recipient rejected it. Your son says it was impulsive. I planned it for 3 weeks. Documented everything. Worked with Sotheby's authentication process. That's the opposite of impulsive. He made notes. What about your current financial management? I handed him my records. Accounts, investments, monthly expenses. Organized, categorized, balanced. You're quite thorough. 40 years of detailed documentation. Professional requirement became personal habit. More questions. Cognitive tests. Memory exercises. Clock drawings. Word associations. 3 hours. I passed everything. Mr. Ashford, you're demonstrably competent. Doctor. Webb closed his folder. Your son's petition has no medical basis. Can I get that in writing? You'll have my full report within 48 hours. December 15th. The local news picked up the story. Small piece. Community interest section. Portland Antiques expert faces competency challenge from family. Sandra called. Concerned. The media coverage could complicate things. Could help things. Public record now. Everyone sees what they're doing. She paused. There's been another development. What kind? Your son hired a private investigator. He's been asking questions about your business dealings. Past sales. Client relationships. Looking for what? Anything that makes you look unstable or unethical. He won't find anything. I know. But the fact that he's looking tells us something. Tells us he's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, Walter. Watch your back. December 18th. 2 days before the hearing. My doorbell rang. Evening. Unexpected. Through the peephole. My daughter. Lydia. Boston. 8 years since she'd visited. I opened the door. Hi, Dad. She looked tired. Red-eye flight? Probably. Small suitcase. Sandra called me. Told me what's happening. She shouldn't have. I'm glad she did. Lydia stepped inside. I had no idea things had gotten this bad with Jean. Things have been bad for years. This is just the first time it's become legal. We sat in my living room. The display case caught her eye. Your collection? She smiled. Slightly. Real. Mom used to talk about how you'd spend hours in here, after dinner, polishing, examining. You remember that? I remember everything, Dad. I just chose not to be here for it. Why? Because watching you love objects more than people was too hard. The words hit. Deserved, probably. Lydia. I never. It doesn't matter now. She cut me off. What matters is Gene trying to steal your life. That's not okay. He's your brother. He's a vulture. Always has been. Difference is, now he has legal standing to act on it. What do you suggest? I suggest you let me help. She pulled out her laptop. I'm a forensic accountant, Dad. I find hidden money for a living. Let me find where Gene's hidden his money, his debts, his lies. Whatever he's not telling you, there's always something. She worked until midnight. I made coffee, watched her fingers fly across keyboards. Found it. Found what? Gene's in worse trouble than you knew. Second mortgage on their house. $180,000. 3 credit cards maxed. Total debt, approximately $340,000. $340,000. And they've been making minimum payments for 18 months. Interest alone is destroying them. That's why they need my money. That's why they need your money now. She looked up. They're drowning, Dad. And they see your collection as a life raft. December 20th. Hearing day. Multnomah County Courthouse. Judge Patricia Delgado. Gray hair, sharp eyes. No-nonsense reputation. My son sat across the aisle with his lawyer. Morton Fisher. Aggressive reputation. Cheap tactics. Sandra presented Dr. Webb's evaluation. Competency confirmed. No cognitive impairment detected. Financial records demonstrating consistent, responsible management. Morton Fisher presented his case. Erratic behavior. Sudden sale of family heirloom. Signs of isolation and paranoia. Judge Delgado listened. Took notes. Asked questions. Mr. Ashford, why did you sell the watch without consulting family? I tried to give it to my son. He rejected it. Called it worthless junk. Suggested I donate it to charity. Is that accurate, Mr. Ashford? She looked at my son. He hesitated. I may have said something like that, but I didn't mean. You either said it or you didn't. I said it. And now you're suing your father because he took you at your word? Your Honor, Morton Fisher stood. Sit down, Mr. Fisher. The judge's voice cut. I've reviewed the evidence. I've read Dr. Webb's evaluation. I've examined 40 years of Mr. Ashford's financial records. She paused. Let the silence build. This petition is without merit. Mr. Walter Ashford is demonstrably competent to manage his own affairs. The sale of the pocket watch was legal, documented, and entirely within his rights as owner. She looked directly at my son. Mr. Ashford, I'm going to give you some free advice. Your father is not your piggy bank. His assets are not your inheritance until he chooses to make them so. If you continue this pattern of harassment, there will be consequences. Petition denied. Court adjourned. The gavel fell. Sharp crack. Final. My son's face went through several colors. White, red, something approaching purple. This isn't over, he hissed as he passed me. Yes, it is. But of course, it wasn't. January, new year, new locks, new security system. My son and daughter-in-law stopped calling, stopped visiting. The silence felt like peace. Then the letters started. Official-looking envelopes, legal threats, demands for an accounting of family assets, claims that the watch sale proceeds belong to the family trust. There was no family trust, never had been. Sandra handled each one, responded firmly, documented everything. They're building a paper trail, she explained, for another attempt later. Let them build. January 15th. I came home from groceries. Something felt wrong immediately. The display case was open. I walked closer, counted. 11 watches. The Vacheron Constantin was gone. 1,923 pocket watch. Estimated value, $45,000. I checked the security footage. Saw Meredith enter through a back window. Disabled the motion sensor. She'd watched me enter the code once. Took the watch. Left through the same window. 16 minutes total. Professional almost. I called Sandra, then the police. The police took statements, examined footage, nodded seriously. We'll need to contact the suspects. Officer Martinez. Filing charges? Absolutely. This could get complicated. Family situations often do. It's already complicated. Make it legal. January 18th. My son called. First time in weeks. Dad, there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Your wife stole from me. She borrowed a piece for appraisal. She was going to return it. She broke into my house through a window. The door was stuck. She panicked. The door has a new lock. Because I changed it. Because you photographed my files. Silence. We can return the watch. No police necessary. The police are already involved. The watch is evidence now. Dad, please. His voice cracked. If Meredith gets charged with burglary, she committed burglary. She's the mother of your grandchildren. And she's a thief. Those aren't mutually exclusive. What do you want? What I've always wanted. To be left alone. To manage my own life without interference. We can do that. You've proven you can't. January 25th. Meredith was arrested at their home. Burglary charges. Theft over $10,000. The Vacheron Constantin recovered from a pawn shop downtown. She'd sold it for $3,000. $3,000 for a $45,000 watch. The insult added to the injury. My son posted bail. Called me screaming. You're destroying our family. You destroyed our family when you started seeing me as a wallet instead of a father. She could go to prison. That's between her and the judge. Dad, I'm begging you. Drop the charges. No. Why are you doing this? Because actions have consequences. You taught me that. Remember? When you were 8 and broke the neighbor's window? I made you work all summer to pay for it. Consequences, I said. This is different. This is exactly the same. Except now you're not 8, and the stakes are higher. He hung up. February. Meredith pleaded guilty to reduced charges. Theft by deception. 2 years probation. Community service. Felony record. My son didn't speak to me through the entire proceeding. Sat in the courtroom. Stared straight ahead. Afterward, outside the courthouse, he finally approached. Happy now? No. I'm not happy at all. Then why? Because some lessons can only be learned the hard way. Your wife needed to learn that stealing has consequences. You needed to learn that I'm not an ATM. We've lost everything because of you. You lost everything because of your choices. I'm just the one who stopped enabling them. What about the grandchildren? What about them? They need stability. They need their grandmother not to have a criminal record. Their grandmother shouldn't have broken into my house and stolen from me. He shook his head, slowly. You've changed, Dad. No. I finally stopped changing for you. Lydia helped me understand something important. She flew in again after the sentencing. We sat on my back porch, Portland winter, gray and wet. Coffee, steaming. You know they'll never forgive you. I know. Does that bother you? More than I expected. She nodded. Dad, can I tell you something? Always. Gene has been like this forever. Even when we were kids. Everything was about what he could get. What you owed him. What the world owed him. I didn't see it. You didn't want to see it. He was your son. Your heir. The one who was supposed to carry on your legacy. And you? I was the daughter who moved across the country to escape the competition. I'm sorry. Don't be. She smiled. Slightly. Sadly. I found my own way. Built my own life. Gene never did. What happens now? Now you live your life. Your way. Without guilt. She made it sound simple. It wasn't. March. Spring arrived slowly. Portland shook off the gray. I received a letter. Not legal this time. Handwritten. My son's handwriting. Dad, I've been doing a lot of thinking. About everything that happened. About who I became. You were right. About all of it. The watch. The files. Meredith. Everything. I saw you as a resource instead of a person. I counted your assets while you were still using them. I planned for your death while you were still living. I don't know when I became that person. Meredith says it happened gradually. The debts piled up, the pressure mounted, and somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing my father and started seeing my inheritance. That's not an excuse. There is no excuse. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I haven't earned it. I'm just asking you to know that I understand now. What I did, what I lost. The grandchildren ask about you. I don't know what to tell them. Your son, Jean, I read it 3 times, set it on my desk, didn't respond. Not because I couldn't, because I didn't know what to say. April. I started volunteering at the Oregon Historical Society. Their horological collection needed cataloging. Nobody else had the expertise. Tuesday afternoons. 4 hours of careful documentation, surrounded by timepieces that outlived their original owners. One afternoon, I looked up from a particularly beautiful 1,850 seconds railroad watch. A boy stood in the doorway, maybe 10 years old. Curious face. What's that? It's a railroad watch. I held it up. Conductors used these to keep trains on schedule. Can I see? I showed him the movement, explained the mechanics, watched his eyes widen. That's so cool. Why doesn't anyone make these anymore? They do. But most people prefer phones now. Phones are boring. He studied the watch. This has stories in it. Yes, it does. His mother appeared behind him. Apologetic. Sorry. He wanders off whenever he sees interesting things. Interesting things are worth wandering toward. I smiled. He has good instincts. They left. I returned to cataloging. But the boy's words stayed with me. This has stories in it. 4 generations of my family had carried that Patek Philippe. 4 generations of stories. And I'd sold it to a stranger because my son couldn't see past the price tag. Was that justice or loss? Maybe both. June. My doorbell rang. Saturday afternoon. Through the peephole. 2 children. Braxton, 12. Emma, 9. My grandchildren. I opened the door. Hi, Grandpa. Braxton held a piece of paper. Folded carefully. We took the bus. Mom doesn't know, but Dad said you probably wouldn't mind. I stepped back. Let them in. Does anyone know where you are? Emma pulled out a phone. We're supposed to text when we get here. She texted. I watched. We sat in my living room. The display case caught their eyes immediately. Grandpa. Are those all watches? Yes. Can we see them? I opened the case, showed them each piece, explained the history, the mechanics, the stories. Braxton held the 1,910 Hamilton with appropriate reverence. This is worth a lot, isn't it? Some would say so. But that's not why you have them. I looked at him, really looked. No, that's not why. Emma examined a 1,940 seconds Longines. Dad said you sold great-great-grandpa's watch because he was mean about it. Something like that. Was he really mean? He didn't understand what it meant, what it was worth. Not money worth, Emma frowned. Story worth. Exactly. They stayed 2 hours. I made sandwiches. They asked questions, real questions, about the watches, about my work, about their great-great-grandfather. When their mother arrived, my daughter-in-law, now with a felony record, she stayed in the car. Braxton hugged me at the door. First time in years. Can we come back? Anytime. I watched them go. Something loosened in my chest. Maybe not everything was lost. August. My son called. First time since the letter. Dad? Yes. The kids told us about their visit. They're welcome anytime. Long pause. Thank you for not shutting them out. Children are innocent. Whatever happened between us isn't their fault. Another pause. Is there any chance we could talk? Really talk. Not about money or assets. Just about us. I thought about it. Longer than I expected. Maybe. Someday. But not yet. I understand. Jean? Yeah? I read your letter. I believe you mean it. I do. Then, give it time. Prove it with actions, not words. And maybe, eventually, we can find our way back to something. Okay, Dad. I can do that. He hung up. I sat in my workshop, surrounded by 40 years of collected time. The Patek Philippe was gone. Sold to a collector in Seattle. He sent me a photo once. The watch in a display case. Honored. Preserved. Maybe that's its real legacy now. Not family tradition, but survival. Finding someone who sees its value. October, my birthday, 69. Lydia flew in. We had dinner at my house. She gave me a first edition book on horology. I gave her a 1,920 seconds ladies' Cartier I'd been saving. For me? Her voice caught. For someone who understands worth, she hugged me. First time since she was a teenager. That evening, a package arrived. Return address, my son's house. Inside, a card. Children's handwriting. Happy birthday, Grandpa. We love you. We miss you. Inside the card, a crayon drawing. A man with white hair standing next to a display case. Watches drawn in yellow circles. Underneath, in Emma's careful letters, Grandpa and his stories. I put it on my refrigerator, next to the photo of my father wearing his pocket watch. Life is quieter now. Smaller. Lonelier sometimes. But it's mine. That matters. I still teach at the senior center. Still volunteer at the Historical Society. Still drink coffee in my workshop every morning, surrounded by beautiful things that outlasted their original owners. Justice and love don't always coexist. I chose justice, chose boundaries, chose my dignity over my son's comfort. Time will tell if it was worth the price. But sometimes, on Tuesday afternoons, a curious child wanders into the horological archive, asks questions, sees wonder in mechanics, holds history in their hands. And I think maybe legacy isn't about blood. Maybe it's about teaching anyone to see value beyond price tags. The watches keep time. The stories keep mattering. That's enough. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click on the video on the screen now. Thank you for watching.